3, 2, 1. What's going on, everyone? You're watching Ash on Comics. My name is Ash, and you know what time of day it is. Well, what time of the week it is, I guess would be a proper way to say it. It's Wednesday, November 13th, 2019. That's right, it's time for New Comic Book Day. That means Ash Wednesdays. Joining me, as always, is Stan the Man. Great to have you, Stan. You are the absolute pinnacle influence of this hobby and medium, and the reason I and so many others are in comics today, and I will never forget you. Hopefully, most comic fans won't either. Also, our resident intern, channel expert on all things trash, personal assistants to Stan the Man, and resident celebrity. If you didn't know, Forky was in a movie. This is Forky, and this is episode 16 of Ash Wednesdays, formerly called the In and Out Weekly Comics Pull List, which I don't remember how many episodes that went, so I don't have a legacy number for you. I'll see if I can get that next time. Hashtag NCBD, that's New Comic Book Day. You're staring at a box if this is your first time watching, because inside that box is my In and Out burger that I get every Wednesday. It's part of my ritual, and you're probably going to... Anyone who's new is be like, what the hell is going on? I explain it most every video. Go watch earlier videos. You can see me explain the burger. There's a reason for it, though. It may seem stupid, and maybe it is. But so I don't know how your day is going. Hopefully it's going good. Wednesdays are a fun time. It's probably my most looked forward day of the week, precisely because it's New Comic Book Day. There's something about comics that I don't think many modern fans think about these days. And that is the periodical nature of them. And the idea that every week you're going out to get a new comic and sort of renew that excitement and the enthusiasm and the hobby that you already have. It kind of gets rekindled every week, hopefully. We live in a modern society where everything is convenient, and we just kind of want everything spoon-fed to us. We don't want to even get up, go outside, go drive to a movie theater anymore. We just want to be able to order on Netflix. Not even order. You don't even order. Pay-per-views is antiquated these days. It's just now Netflix. Everything's streaming services. Cable's going away. We don't want to go to the store to buy things because Amazon will just deliver it to you. 2-day delivery, and sometimes they'll even deliver it in same day, in hours, depending on where you live. And this level of convenience is great, but I have this feeling also that it's a bit of a curse. Now, when I was driving to and from the comic book store today, it's part of a ritual to me. I really enjoy it. Part of it is because I like driving, but I enjoy getting out of the house, going to see some friendly faces at the comic book store, people that share, my love for comics. And we have, as always, Luke's got to get on camera. Yep. They all see you. Oh, now you're embarrassed, so you can go outside. No, you're holding your head outside is not being outside. They can still see you. The reluctant star. And every time he does it, I lose track of what I'm saying. And as I'm getting older, I just don't have that snappy mental acuity that I'm so accustomed to. So anyways, I'm driving to the store. I like to listen to videos by other YouTubers talking about comics. Because that's part of why I like this hobby. It's not just reading the comics. I do like reading the comics, and you should too. Hopefully you find books that you can want to read. But sharing that, having that shared enjoyment, meeting and talking with other people who have that shared enthusiasm and passion with you, to me that is it's equally like 50% of why I'm into comics. That's why I got back into comics. I think it's probably, in hindsight, why I got out of comics back in the 90s. It's just because everyone I knew was kind of getting out, and it was just, I didn't really think about it until recently, and then I'm like, well, that's probably why. So I was listening to my boy Wes, who did a little news thing about X-Men, and this is completely not even on topic, but I did want to talk about this. He mentioned in his news video that X-Men is being delayed. I guess it's only the Hickman books, and all I got to say to that is good. I'm so glad. They could delay every X-Men book by 2 weeks, and that would be perfect. That would make it a monthly book, the way it should be, and I would not have to pay $4 every 2 weeks for it, and I could just pay $4 every month, like we should be. But so, yeah, he made a video about it. Basically, kind of the point of that video is the sky is not falling. It's no big deal. It's kind of a nothing burger story. But I wanted to comment on it because I'm actually happy for the delays. I want them to be delayed forever. Right? I'm tired of Marvel just barfing out comics and expecting fans to keep up. So then on the way home from the comic store, I was listening to Sweetcast. I don't know if you've ever listened to him. He's a much bigger channel than mine, so you probably have. Clint at Sweetcast did a video, and it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be about... he was talking... The title of the video was about how like the media is starting to recognize... Thanks, dogs. Appreciate it. Just recording here, can't you tell? How the media is starting to... The comic media is starting to recognize that everything's not all gravy. There's problems. And so I was like, ooh, this should be juicy. And unfortunately, it really wasn't. It just was kind of a nothing burger video. Now, I really like Clint. I'm not mentioning his video at all to say anything negative about his channel. I listen to him for a reason. But he did actually comment about some things, and he talked about the comic book industry and his opinions on it. And, God bless Clint. He's a great guy, and I wish him all the best. But I think he's absolutely out of touch and out of tune with the comics hobby and in general. And one of the things he hit home on his video was about comics needing to be more convenient. And everything that I just talked about, right? How you can just order off Amazon and get stuff delivered and da-da-da-da. Okay, in a vacuum, that argument makes sense, right? I don't want to get up and drive down the street and go to the store and wait in line and deal with all the hassles to buy toilet paper, right? It needs to be done. But if I can just have it delivered to my house conveniently, right? This is why we have these things like Dollar Shave Club and all these like mail order products becoming really popular, especially for things that are sort of like regular. You need razors regularly and things like that. You don't have to get up and you just have it just conveniently delivered for a low price to your house. That's great. He argues like the comics need to be more like about that, and like it's just such a pain in the ass to get up and go to the comic book store, and then he goes to the store and it doesn't have the comic he's looking for, so now he's got to find it. Or the store is going to order the issue for him, but he's got to wait. And I was just like scratching my head as I was driving about this. And the only thing that I could think of while he was talking was just like, do you even like comics? I get up and go to the store because it's fun. Because I like seeing the people at the store. Because I like seeing what issues are on the shelf. If anything, I think that's one of the things that comic book stores need to really work on is that impulse buy, right? Most comic fans, myself included, I know what's coming out. I got my pull list. I got my little electronic pull list that I print out every week, and I go to the store, and it's like, boom, this is what I'm going to get. And I get them, and they pull the comics for me. I go up to the new wall just to look because I like window shopping. But I could literally just walk up to the counter. They hand me my books. I pay for them, and I walk out. I could do that, but I don't. I go through. I stare at the new wall, see what's out there. And this was something I really missed from the old days of comics. That's how I found out about comics. I would go into the store on New Comic Book Day, and they'd be like, "Ooh, what's this? Ooh, what's that?" I talked about this in my Die video series that I did. If you go back and watch the video I did for issue number 1 and the great promotion, how Robert Kirkman and Skybound Entertainment just launched the book without anyone knowing about it. So fans got to walk in the store on Wednesday and be like, what the hell is this? Because it was not in Previews magazine. They didn't talk. No one knew about the book except for retailers on Tuesday when they got their shipments. So that was exciting, and I wish more comics were like that. In the day of the internet age has really kind of diminished that. There's so much information readily available, so we're not surprised anymore. Also, the really small print runs of comics make it so that comic book shops have to really be super tight on their ordering. You know, it used to be, I could go back, in the 90s, I'd walk into a comic book store and there would just be stacks and stacks of X-Men comics. I mentioned X-Men just because that was the top selling book. But, this comic book store would order hundreds of copies because they would sell. So if I didn't get my issue, if I didn't come in on New Comic Book Day, I wasn't boned. I could come in 2 weeks later, there'd probably be still some issues on the shelf, because they were able to order so many books. And I could get new books. I could walk in and be like, oh, what's this? Nowadays, if it's something new and untested, the comic book stores, they order maybe just 1 or 2 issues. Sometimes they don't order any. Like, I had to get Alterna books. I'm like, did you just order these? They're $1.50. They can't cost you anything. But I didn't get one of my Alterna books last week because I forgot to pre-order with them, and they didn't order any copies, so nothing was on the shelf, which meant no single customer had the opportunity to walk in the store, see it on the shelf, and go, maybe I'll try this out. That's bad for the industry. Now, I got off track about convenience. Clint talked about convenience, about being able, he's like, and he started talking about trade paperbacks, which really got me thinking too. I was like, do you even comic, bro? I'm sorry, I had to use that line. It's like, look, yes, he is part of the modern consumer that isn't really the comic book fan as much as they're just a fan of fiction and stories, and they're like, oh, this is cool. They're the consumers that consume the trade paperbacks. Trade paperbacks don't drive the industry as much as people would like to believe. The profit margins on trade paperbacks versus cost or anything it's bad. Print runs are way smaller. Floppies keep the industry going. Floppies are going because of collectors. Collectors keep the floppy market going, and this is something that a lot of modern fans, a lot of people who came into comics post 2000, post the crash, don't seem to understand. They just look at it as like, oh, it's like I'm buying a book. And they don't think about collecting their books. They don't think about value. They don't think about speculating. And I'm not saying you should or need to do this. I don't do that anymore either. I just buy my comics to read, but I do collect them. To me, collecting now is more of a personal thing. I take pride of what's in my collection and certain runs that I really like. Doesn't mean they have to be valuable. For example, one thing I'm trying to collect is the Jeff Johns Hawkman run. They're not worth anything, but I would love to have that run, just to have it, because it means something to me. Here they come, the dogs. So, I don't have an outline for this, so I'm all over the place. Clint talks about, that he gets his he's looking for certain trade paperbacks. He goes to the comic book store, they don't have them, so then he's just got to go on Amazon or somewhere online retailer and order them and have them shipped. And he's like, why did I even go to the comic book store in the first place? And again, I have to ask, are you a comic book fan? I don't understand this, where it happened, where society changed to where we went to the store and they didn't have the thing we were looking for. It became such a deal breaker. Comics are a collector thing. The hobby of comics today, the reason we have a direct market and the reason why the newsstand is gone is because readers pretty much vanquished, they're gone, and collectors kept the industry afloat. Fast forward to today, and the industry is trying to cater to the reader who's they were never really gone. They just went in, small minority. Cater to that, and the collectors, because they just can't stop the thing they've spent tons of money in collecting, they keep it afloat. These are the guys that bought all, 10, 12 issues of Marvel 1000. I mean, I still see them at my store. They have you can buy them in a bundle bag. It's like $120, and you can get these are guys that literally they go to the store and they grab and I get every single cover. These are the guys keeping the industry afloat. Readers don't pay $120 for Marvel 1000. In fact, readers don't even really buy Marvel 1000 because it's crap. I'm getting in the weeds, but comics should be fun. They're not meant to be convenient. I remember years ago, but it's about around the same time of the comic book crash, collectible cards were a big thing, like baseball cards, right? Were a big thing. I mean, they're still around. They've been around forever. Baseball cards, but they were big. And I was into Magic and other things too. So I had a reason to go to the baseball card shop that was near my house. And, they were flourishing. And I never really got into baseball card collecting myself. I always thought it was just, well, whatever. But I can distinctly remember a time where that bubble was growing and then burst, similar to the comic book industry. And I can remember how all these different manufacturers or publishers got into the collectible card market. It used to be just like Topps, right? And I think there might have been another one, but then there was Donruss and Upper Deck and Topps Flight or something. Or I remember there being half a dozen or more different card companies. And then it became this thing where you just buy a pack of, it used to be baseball cards were called bubblegum cards because you bought them for the bubblegum and then you got some baseball cards. They stopped putting the bubblegum in the cards a long, long time ago when it became a collector thing. Started packaging. Well, then it was collectors, I want more convenience. I want the convenience of it. So what did these companies in their infinite genius start doing? Yep, that's right. You could buy a complete box set of the entire collection of whatever year, 1999, just buy a box and it would have one of every single card and you wouldn't have to collect it. You just go to the store, cash over your money, walk out, and it was convenient. You didn't have to chase the cards. You didn't have to open up multiple packs and try to put a collection together, da-da-da-da. And to those people, I would say, do you even collect cards, bro? That's the fun of it. The people who were card collectors and putting together sets and collecting and building, that's the fun, that's the joy. Going to the comic book store and being oh man, I really wish I would have jumped on this series last year. I missed out. That's why there's a back issue bin. I'm sorry that you missed out. That's the point of comics. You collect, and if you miss, it sucks. But we live in this modern era where fear of missing out has taken over people's lives. And it's they can't even enjoy the things that they should enjoy. It's fine if you don't have a comic book in your collection. That's the thing that you can sit there and sometimes you can go for years and go, man, I'm missing, whatever book number 23, and it's just sitting in, and then you just hope and you keep going to stores and stores and you look in the back issues over, and then one day it's there and it's hallelujah, right? What happened? What happened to that? Now it's just I just want to go on internet and press a button and it's delivered to me. What's the fun in that? I don't get it. So, last thing, I know I'm running long on this. My burger's sitting there. I need to eat it. Is I want to talk about, I've talked about this a lot, is comics being periodicals. I've been hearing people defend this new movement, and I talked about this last week about DC Comics, with their main titles going to $7.99. Well, what's happening? It seems like what's happening, all the news isn't in yet, but it seems like what's happening is with DC and 5G, they're going to replace all their main characters with new fake characters that are young and hip. It's what all the kids want. We're going to get a black Batman. We're going to get Superboy taking over for his dad. It's going to be a bunch of stupidity. But DC in all their infinite wisdom realizes that when Marvel Now failed, when they replaced all the Marvel characters, they think it was because fans also couldn't get their old characters, right? And that was, so what they're going to do is they're going to allow us to still read Batman and Superman, the characters we like, but we're going to have to pay a premium $7.99, and they're going to be black label books. To which I say, F you, DC. When that happens, I think I'm just going to be buying more Marvel books and more independents. I guess you really don't like market share. But anyways, some people have defended this idea. And they're like, well, Ash, they're going to be twice as big, and they're going to be premium binding and all the stuff, and it's like, I get that, but that's not why people buy comics. That's not why people stopped buying Marvel comics back in the day or whatever. It was because these are just low quality publication. Like, it's never been that. The reason why alternative is growing like it is, it's newsprint, it's cheap. People haven't cared about that in comics. It is nice to have a premium book. I lavished over Last Night on Earth, which by the way is only $5.99, not $7.99, and it's 60 pages. I lavish over that book. I am cool with a premium book once in a while that's deluxe that I can splurge on and go, okay, I want to check this out, or pass. Most of the Black Label books I passed on, okay? They're garbage. I don't have any interest. They're garbage to me, at least. I haven't read them, so I can't properly judge them. But in my mind, they're garbage, and I have no interest in them. And I have really no interest in paying $7.99. You got to be out of your mind if you think I'm paying $7.99 for a Cami Garcia book. Sorry. You want to go do that? More power to you. But the real issue, and this is where I've always tried to hammer home, is about the idea that comics are periodicals, right? You go to the store and you pick up however many issues are on your pull list. For me, I picked up 9 issues today. 9 issues, okay? My total bill came to just under $30. That's great. Well, what if they were all $7.99? All of a sudden, my bill is $72. What? That's what you think is okay? The reason comics, it doesn't matter. You go, well, you get the price per page. No. I want to buy small bite-sized chunks. I don't want to go to Costco and buy a pallet of toothpaste. You might say, but Ash, it's cheaper by the ounce if you buy the whole pallet of toothpaste. Yes, I know, but I only use toothpaste, in small quantities over a period, and I'm happier to pay the few dollars when I need a tube. Maybe I'll buy 2 at a time. It's more digestible. Comics aren't about convenience, like I mentioned, but they're also not about just consuming and being like the most value per page. I want to be able to go and pay a couple bucks and get my books, and I want to be able to continue to read them month after month and keep myself entertained. I used this argument before, like cable, back, for people who had cable. This is going to be antiquated. You might have about 100 channels on your cable, but what if the following, like 1 month out of the year, like all of a sudden the cable company doubled your bill and you're paying, maybe your cable bill is like $100 these days, or you paid $100 a month for your cable, but they gave you twice as many channels that month. You might, 3 times as many channels. How about 4 times as many channels, right? It doesn't matter. You have a certain budget. You only watch a certain handful of channels that you want. This is the amount of money you're willing to pay per month to get those. That's the same with me. I have a certain amount of comics I want to read per month. I have a certain amount of budget I want to allot to that. I don't want to double it because all of a sudden you're giving me more premium books. Let's talk about premium. I've been playing a shit ton of Destiny 2 lately. If you weren't aware, it went free. Not free to play like the way a lot of these games go, whatever. It's just free. You just go on Xbox or PC or Steam and you just download the game. You get the whole game plus the first 2 DLC campaign packs, all free. No questions asked, no strings attached. All right. Now, if you want additional DLC after that, they offer them for sale, but that's additional. You get the full game plus the first 2 DLC, all free, and it's a ton of content. It's about at least 5 times more content than the original Destiny had. Fixed a lot of the problems. Anyways, I'm not here to sell you on Destiny. Maybe I am. I love the game, and it's fantastic, and I've been enjoying the shit out of it. And the more I explore it, the more I'm like, wow, this is really good, and it's free. Now, I understand they already made a ton of money on it, and it's not the same business model, but as the consumer, I have to look at that and go, I'm getting hundreds of hours of entertainment potentially off of this product that's free, and asking me to pay $10 for a season pass, which I think is like 3 or 4 months of extra content. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to pay $10. And I'm thinking to myself, but comics are asking sometimes $10 for an issue. You know, that's a couple of comics. And sometimes I'm pissed off because they're shit. You know, and I'm like, and I'm balking at paying this, which I'm getting tons of enjoyment. This is a real premium product. Anyways, I'm not going to go on to Destiny 2. I'm having a ton of fun. If you play Destiny, let me know. It's great. And I have to allot my dollar and then go, should I even keep buying comics? This is ridiculous. So with that, man, this has been a long one. Sorry about that. I didn't plan on talking for so long, but this is something I'm passionate about. What's that guy doing? Well, I'm opening my box. My burger's been sitting here. Eric Breen. See, I can take a while sometimes still. Today, what did I get? Oh, they didn't make it smile. Oh, I'm a little disappointed. Really disappointed. That's all right. It's still going to taste as good. It's probably because it's been sitting there, the cheese melting all over. This is my receipts. Always show your receipt. Double animal style. Jacqueline was my cashier today. She did a good job. And this costs a comic book. Actually, this is less than a lot of comic books lately. So I'm going to eat this, and then we're going to get on with the rest of the show. Thank you so much for letting me enjoy that burger and be indulgent. This is one of the things I look forward to every week. As I was talking about earlier, make your comic book experience great. Buy only good comics. Be enthused about the comics you like. Share them. Talk about other people who are enthused. Don't look at going to the comic book store as dread. Look at it as a fun ritual. You know, getting to see, other fans. Hopefully you got friendly store staff or the owner of the store. Invest yourself into the hobby and try to get the most out of it. That's what I try to do. And part of that is getting that burger every week. I look forward to eating eating that In-N-Out burger, doing my show, talking to you guys, checking out the new comics that I walked home with, which we're going to get to. But first, we have to do Marvel versus DC. Now, this first part of the segment is digital sales, where each week we take a look at Comixology and see how well Marvel and DC did as far as the digital sales. Now, I do this particular part of the segment because, number one, digital sales are very easy to track, unlike the regular normal sales that Diamond and Marvel and everyone obfuscates very much. It's very clear who is selling the most. I don't know the numbers, but I can at least tell you who sold more than who. Also, I feel digital sales are an interesting thing to look at because they have nothing to do with collecting. They have nothing to do with buying multiple covers, speculating on a character appearance or anything. There's no intrinsic value. The only reason to buy a digital comic is purely to read it. And that says something. It doesn't paint the whole picture, and digital sales are only, I believe, 6% of the market, 6 to 10 somewhere. It's a very small number of the overall comic reader market, and I do believe most people who, are into digital comics, buying them brand new comics digitally, aren't really the prototypical comic fan. That being said, it's still an interesting number to look at, and it's fair ground for both Marvel and DC within that field, right? No one has really a particular advantage over the other. So let's get on with it. Starting off the list, number 10 is Amazing Spider-Man issue 33, or, for those of you that care, Legacy number 834. I want to predict that this issue will be, when it gets to 900, they'll be calling it 900, not whatever, whatever. It's almost, oh man, it's going to be right around issue 100 when that happens too. Whew. Anyways, we have a appearance of Miguel, who is the Spider-Man of the 2099 future. It's going to be very interesting when Marvel actually reaches 2099. The Marvel present is the future. I wonder how that's going to work. But we got a long time to go before that happens. Spider-Man. Whoops, going too fast. Next, number 9, we have Green Lantern Black Stars. I find this very interesting that this is on the list. I have to wonder if this was just Green Lantern issue 13 like it should have been, if this would have been on the list. Or is it because, it's a number 1, something to jump into. I have a feeling that number 1 really boosts the sales, which is why Marvel and DC both are now doing that. I don't support that, so I didn't pick this up, but someone tell me if it's any good. Number 8, Undiscovered Country. We have an independent on the list, neither Marvel or DC. This is by Zack Snyder, who's predominantly a Marvel or DC guy, and Charles Soule, who's predominantly a Marvel guy. We have collaborated to tell a story about an interesting kind of almost like a post-apocalyptic type of story. A lot of people were afraid to get into this book or check it out because they thought, oh, it's Orange Man bad type. It's all about. It's not really. It does have some modern. I'm not going to get into that. I think I might do a video about the book, but don't worry, it's not an anti-Trump book. They started writing this book well before Trump even was even thought of was going to ever be president. So it's very interesting. It's exciting that an independent book can make the list. Hopefully it can stay around. Number 7, Young Justice number 10. People love their Brian Michael Bendis sitcoms. And Young Justice is just that. So, so there you go. Apparently Naomi is now part of the team. Ooh, yippee. I don't know how that works. Oh my goodness, nothing matters. God, DC. This shocks me that this is in the top 10. All right, number 6, Immortal Hulk 26. Still going strong in the digital realm. Fans love their Immortal Hulk. I've heard nothing about good things until issue 25 came, where Al Ewing apparently seemed to be steering the ship into a more cosmic vein. And with this sort of like Enterprise-esque bridge crew motif looking cover, it seems like it may still be continuing that way. But it hasn't slowed the digital sales down. So that's pretty good. Now we're in the top 5. Issue number 35 of Justice League is our number 5. And I don't really like what they did with these covers here. If you look at this, it's Legion of Doom. There's nowhere that says, well, I guess it does say Justice League in the very top left corner. But it's very confusing. I really like it better when they do things like they were doing before, where they would like cross out Justice League and like they had like spray paint over Legion of Doom or something. Like that was a cool kind of gimmick that they were doing. This whole Year of the Villain, where they're replacing the titles with the villains. It's just confusing to look at it and not see the trade dress of the comic. You could have, I think you know what I'm saying. But anyways, Justice League still going strong, still in the top 5. People like Scott Snyder. He's got 2 books on this list. 1 indie and 1 is Justice League. Number 4, slipping on the list. Oh, wait. This is wrong. I got them out of order. No! Is it even on here? Oh, I don't have the picture. Number 4 is Legion of Superheroes. I did not omit that on purpose. You guys are like, it's a fix. It's a terrible book. I did a video on it. I can see people buying it because it's the number 1. You want to try it out, but we'll see if it stays around. Something tells me it will because Young Justice is still around, and it's pretty much Young Justice 2.0. Young Justice was wannabe Legion, but Bendis-sized, and Legion is Legion Bendis-sized. So, sorry, I got all off track. I'm missing the thing. Number 3 on the list is Batman City of Bane. I think this slipped. I think this was like number 2 maybe last week or the week before. I feel like it's slipping. Maybe I'm wrong, but it's still strong. Being in the top 3 is a big deal. I love the David. Is it David Finch? I'm second guessing Finch. This guy was born to draw Batman, and I love these covers. Too bad the stories don't reflect. Finally, number 2 and number 1. No surprise, X-Men. They're New Mutants and X-Force, respectively. I did videos on both of these. They're out. And congratulations to Marvel for still failing to win the top 10 with 2 X books. Marvel's 4 to DC's 5 with one independent going Image's way. Props to Zack Snyder, man. And DC, I can't believe, holding strong. Marvel just does not have enough strong books. They're really building a lot of excitement with the X-Men stuff, but I think they're spreading themselves too thin, and they're riding off Immortal Hulk and Amazing Spider-Man, and then what else do they got? I'd say, I could argue, well, they didn't come out this past week, but, actually, yeah, last week was Daredevil. Daredevil should be on there. Daredevil's one of the best books out, but Marvel fans are kind of weird. They would rather have mediocre books for characters they like than really great books about characters that they're not that interested in. And Daredevil, unfortunately, takes a lot to get people into Daredevil. I mean, anyways, here's the list. If you want the tail of the tape, you can count. I can't believe I botched Legion of Superheroes to be on the list. I literally go and I just copy and paste. Anyways, you don't want to hear it. Let's move on. This has been long enough. Digital sales, Marvel 4, DC 5. Congrats, DC, for pulling out another win. Now, moving on to number ones. This is really the exciting part. This is where this whole bit started, was with new number ones. Used to be just Marvel, but then DC said, oh, we're gonna step in and throw our hat in the ring, and we can easily push out as many number ones as Marvel can, if not more. So let's get to it. This week, starting it off, Marvel's got new number one with Fallen Angels. Now, the order of these books are collated by League of Comic Geeks, the app and website that I use to do my pull lists and keep track of my comics and things like that. I really recommend it. It's got a little bit of social aspect to it as well, so you can have your membership and you can reach out and follow other people and do your own reviews, and it's fun. It's cool. It's a cool thing. What they do is they post on every new comic how many people added it to their pull list. And so these books are in order by users of that site based on their pull. So Fallen Angels, of course, has more people adding it to their pull list than any of the following issues we're going to see on this list. And that's why it's the first. And so you'll see the last issue, you're going to see the order. It's basically the order of popularity of people's interest. So Fallen Angels leads it off. This will set you back $5. But look, it's got an X on the cover, so it's going to be a hot item, and you can't afford to miss out on this number one. Who knows how valuable this is going to be in a few years. You might be able to buy a new car. It might say Hot Wheels on it, but it'll be new. Next, we have DC returning back with Blackest Night from Tales of the Dark Multiverse. DC's really taken advantage of this multiverse that's really popular from Metal, and they're using it to tell basically what-if stories. In the Dark Multiverse, basically what happened in that version, popular stories like we had Death of Superman, we had the Nightfall, and now we've got Blackest Night. We know what happened in our reality on Earth Zero, but what happened in the Dark Multiverse? It's a really good concept. I don't like that they're $6 a piece. That's a lot for a what-if book, but that Superman book was really well received. So DC ties it up 1-1. Next, we've got Punisher Soviet, number 1. Now, Garth Ennis is one of the most well-received Punisher writers ever, so this should have a lot of excitement about it. Punisher being involved with Russia. There's a lot of potential here. Hopefully it doesn't go into Orange Man bad stuff and Putin influencing the election, like nonsense. That I could see a lot. I get really gun shy when I see modern progressive comic companies doing stories about Russia. But needless to say, props to Marvel for not jacking up the price. This one will only set you back $4. Marvel leads 2-1. DC responds with what seems to be another endless release of Hill House comics. DC is throwing all their freaking eggs into this. I don't know how many freaking Hill House books there are, but there seems like a new one every week. This has set you back $4. This one is not written by Joe Hill. We'll see how long this lasts. It's tied 2-2. Next, back to Marvel on a good volley. Set you back $4 is Morbius, the Living Vampire. I think this is a comic book that nobody wanted. Somehow it's got legacy number 42. What? I don't even know. But hey, it's a number one, right? It's going to be worth tons of money. I'm sure it will not be dollar bin fodder. Everyone's been looking for Morbius. Why has this guy not had a number one or his own book? We all know. No one cares. Vita Ayala, give me a break. Marvel leads 3-2. Marvel continues with a 1-2 punch by throwing in Marvel Tales featuring Doctor Strange number 1. That's a very beautiful cover. If you're a Doctor Strange fan, that's gorgeous. I gotta say. This one, however, will set you back $8. $8, and that's a lot. Marvel's Doctor Strange is not that popular, but Marvel leads 4-2. DC responds back with a giant book all their own. You know, that Doctor Strange book, I believe, might be 80 pages. It's pretty big for your $8, but it's all reprinted material. And DC is like, we'll give you 100 pages for only $5. Every week, DC seems to have a new number one giant book. I think they're really, really running thin on the titles that they can pick to make giant books out of. We got Superhero Girls, but hey, it's a number one. You can't miss out. Only $5. So, Marvel this week has 19 new comics to DC 17. That's huge. DC with 17 new comics. They only have about 60% of the publishing line. Marvel, I think, publishes like about 100 to 110 comics every month. DC publishes like around 60 to 70. So for them to have almost the same amount of new comics is pretty huge. As far as for DC to go, DC's really pushing it hard. The number below that is the number when you calculate all the variants. And you can see that's where Marvel really just extends their lead. 66. Although DC, 38 is quite a bit for DC. They normally don't have quite so many variants. But Marvel's going to take this one away. 4-3. Set you back $28 to get all the Marvel number ones. $21 to get all the DC number ones. And if you're good at math, that's $49 total. I think that was the number last week too, was it? But, $50 just to get those, add $50. Just, every week, add $50 to your pull list, and you can get all the number ones. That's only $200 a month on top of what you're already paying for comics. I don't understand why anyone complains about the industry at all. I mean, who doesn't just have $200 to burn? All these number ones are going to be worth tons of money, right? Oh, and that concludes this segment. Everything I've said here is pretty much tongue-in-cheek. Don't take it with all serious. It's meant to mock Marvel and DC for the ludicrous practices and the predatory practices that they're doing on both retailers and consumers. Don't settle for it. Buy good comics. I have a YouTube channel and I have to mock them, and I think we should. We should mock stupidity. We should mock bad practices and make fun of it. And so hopefully that'll go away. I'm going to end this here, and we're going to get on to the actual physical books next. Finally, the coup de grace, the grand finale, whatever you want to call it, end of the video. This is the meat and potatoes. This is where everything's centered around. I saved the best for last. This is what you tune in for. I'm going to start this week off with a book that came out last week, but my store didn't have it. But they did find it at one of their other locations, and they had it shipped, inner-ship store, yada, and they had it pulled for me this week, which is Voidwalker from Alterna Comics. I pretty much buy almost every new Alterna book that comes out, unless it's more of the child books. There's like a couple of books that they do that are more aimed towards kids, which are fine and fantastic. They're just not for me, so I'm okay with that. I'm okay with not everything being for me. But the ones that are more serious, that are a little bit more my style, I do want to check them out. Alterna deserves your attention. They have quality, and their price, it's They're good. Don't think of them as trash just because they're $1.50. This next was Road to 100 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. This was a free one-shot book. Walked in the store, they had a stack of these. I was like, this is free? Yeah. This is better than the 25-cent issues that DC does. Although I do think the 25-cent issues might be a little bit better in the sense that everyone will pick up something free. You'll pick this up to, wipe your ass with, so to speak. I don't mean that literally. But like even a 25-cent comic, if it's at all like uninteresting, like I wouldn't pick up, I don't know, there's a lot of books. I wouldn't pick up My Little Pony if they're like, oh, Road to 100 My Little Pony, 25 cents. I'd be like, pass. But I might pick it up for free. I don't know. Anyways, congratulations to IDW for, good marketing like this. Give a free book out to get people interested. And trying to, everyone seems to like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles that buys it. So good for them. Speaking of IDW, good job. The only IDW comic I actually buy and is the number one, this might be the number one comic I get. It's Usagi Yojimbo. I urge people not to pass this up. This is a true indie book. We live in a world today, the comic industry, where we've got all these pros talking about, we got this movement and we're trying to be able to push independent comic voices out there and the industry failing us and blah, 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 blah. And Stan Sakai says, shut the hell up, you greedy guys, trying to push this nonsense with your Comics Gate and selling your $35 books online. I've been publishing Usagi Yojimbo by myself for 35 years. 35 years, and I've been nothing but gracious and loving to the fans and putting out superb quality. Superb. I guarantee you there is nothing coming out of the Indiegogo brigade that is this quality. The closest might be Doug TenNaples' stuff, but Doug walked away. And look, I'm not here to bash on any. You sound like, oh, Ash, why do you hate comic? Look, I don't hate that. I want these guys to make money if they can. I don't like the way they're going about doing it. And I, as a consumer, have every right and I believe kind of a duty to express that voice and opinion. You're tuning into a channel to hear about opinions, and you may not agree with it, and that's fine. If you're buying all these Indiegogo books and you're spending $35 and that's fine. That's, I make the comparison all the time about exotic sports cars. If you're buying a Ferrari, I don't begrudge you at all. I can't afford a Ferrari, and I think even if I could, I don't think that's where I would devote my money. But everyone's free to spend their money with it. What I don't want is Ferrari telling me that every car needs to be sold like Ferrari and every car needs to be $250,000 plus. At that point, I go, no. That's what I'm balking at, the idea. Anyways, Usagi Yojimbo's fantastic. Didn't mean to use you as a political pawn, Usagi. Next, another great independent book, Oblivion Song. This is The Walking Dead of today. But it's sci-fi. It's not zombies. So if you were like, Walking Dead, I kind of wish I was in on that phenomenon. It sounded great. Everyone was loving it for so long. Robert Kirkman knows what the hell he's doing, and he's one of the best things for the comic book industry right now. I just wish Skybound, which is his imprinted image, I wish they did like a superhero continuity, books, because that's what I love about comics. But good is good, and Oblivion Song is damn good. Next we have Year of the Villain, Captain Cold and the Rogues. Who is this? Oh, it's The Flash. See, again, I don't know I should know by the villain. That's pretty silly. So I'll pick this up. $3.99. They got these cellophane covers. Really cool little promo that they're doing with the books. I also have Darkseid and the Justice League Odyssey. That's a dumb name. That's so dumb. And then that's Justice League Odyssey. That one, at least you kind of know. It's got their name in it. And then you've got Mr. and Mrs. Freeze, which is Detective Comics 1015. And finally, we have Hawkman number 18, which is Hawkman the Infected. I don't know why they just didn't call this Sky Tyrant, and they could have done like a really cool logo with it. Hawkman the Infected sounds so boring. It's like the editorial. It's like as soon as you take anything out of the creator's hands, which Robert Venditti is the excellent guy doing this book, and then you like leave something to the editorial, it all goes to shit. Because that's what's wrong with the mainstream comic industry now. The editorial, the people in charge, and the editorial staff, almost all of them, there's probably some exceptions, there always are just garbage. They don't know the industry. They don't know the fans. They don't know the material. They don't have creative ideas. They were never hired because they were creative. Editors back in the day were people who either A, wanted to be writers, or B, were writers. They were creative people. And they were editors because they, A, had the ability to understand writing, and B, they understood the material. They understood the characters that they were editing. That was their job, to keep the writers on track, to keep a group of characters that was assigned to their pool from breaking continuity and doing things like in one book and then the next book contradicting it. It's like that was a big part of their role. And also a big part of the role was making sure that creative ideas flourished and became better than they even probably were on the original pitch. Not today, not today. That's all of DC. Next, we've got Marvel, Guardians of the Galaxy, number 11, the penultimate issue. I'm canceling at issue 12. Well, Marvel's canceling it at 12. So, yeah, I guess I don't have to buy Guardians of the Galaxy after that, which is kind of nice. And finally, last but not least, I'll give you one guess what book. Of course, it's X-Men. Stand up. They won't fit. X-Men number 1. It's got a better cover, at least. It's still the Scott Summers show, looks like. The Summers family show. I haven't read this. I haven't read any of these books yet. If you've been following my videos, you know that I've been really underwhelmed with the Dawn of X. I kind of predicted that I was going to be. But I'm going to give X-Men a chance because I was underwhelmed at first with House and Powers. So it took about 3 issues, and then Hickman caught me. So I'm going to give this 3 to 6 issues, and hopefully he grabs me again and doesn't let go, because I really want to love X-Men again. X-Men is my favorite mainstream comic of all time, by far. It's what made me love comics, and it's really sad. Come on, dogs, man! I'm trying to record. It's really sad to see Stan the man here sitting next to a comic that doesn't bear any resemblance to the thing he created. And it's sad to see a group of new fans today defend these books that don't bear any resemblance to the thing he created and just be like, oh, this is fantastic, it's great. And I'm like, what? I mean, there are some good. House and Powers was great. So far, this isn't. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this is the book that'll prove me wrong. I hope so. I'm excited. I'm only buying books that I really like. I didn't have time last week because I rushed to show you. But in case you're not aware of what's going on, I saw this, by the way. This is going to be interesting. So, this Batman, or all these new DC books, right? They've got these cool, cellophane covers, which you can see here are, clear. You see that? And then they hide something underneath. It's kind of a neat little thing, right? It's what's especially cool about this is the price is $3.99. They did not up. Normally, if this would be charge an extra $1 or $2 to have this gimmicky cover, and they didn't do that. That's really cool. But one thing they did do is they still did the B cover, the alternate cover, the cardstock, the bullshit that they're doing that I talked about before, which is why I don't buy B stock covers anymore, or the B covers anymore. They're charging $1 extra for the cardstock covers. Now, I guarantee you, this costs more to make, and it's $3.99. than the cardstock cover, which is essentially it's the same cover of Heroes in Crisis. You remember those, which wasn't anything extra. They just charged you $3.99 for all cardstock covers. They didn't charge any extra. So DC, for the expensive, nice cover, is charging you $3.99. The B cover, which doesn't have the cellophane thing, it just has the full art and on cardstock, is $4.99. And when I see stuff like that, all it does is expose the predatory practices that they're doing. It's one thing to be predatory. It's another to be just blatantly obvious and just throw it in fans' face and be like, what? We don't care. What are you going to do? Stop buying comics? We dare you. It's essentially what Marvel and DC are doing these days. They're essentially just throwing it in your face and saying, I dare you to stop buying comics. Well, look, man, I love comics. I don't want to stop buying comics. I like collecting them. I like having them in my collection. I like meeting fans. I like you guys that are listening. I like talking to you guys, hearing about your opinions on books, hearing your enjoyment and your enthusiasm of the books you're loving. I don't want to stop buying comics. But I could. I did it for 20 years. And comics were, I almost said were better back then, but that's not entirely true. There is a lot of good today. The indie market is way better today than it was back then. There is a lot of good things in comics today. But regardless, it's never been easier to read comics for free. You can literally just click a button and have a comic, and it's free, and you can read it. These days, I have to get up, spend gas, which I live in California, has the most expensive state in the country of gas, drive to my comic book store, which is like 7 or 8 miles away, not terribly far, but it's all urban, city, street, then go there, deal with getting the comics, which again, I admitted that's fun. I buy my comics, then I drive in and out, then I drive back, and then I make my video. I spend all this time making this video for you guys. You're like, geez, Ash, we spent all this time listening. I get it. I don't have to do that. I could just click a button and read the books for free. But I'd want to support this industry. So I buy these books. Here's my receipt. Remember, kids, always show your receipt. This is small, $27. I'm trying to get $25 a week. That's $100 a month. I think that's plenty to enjoy comic books. You shouldn't have to spend more than $100 a month. This is a kid's hobby. This is a hobby that kids should be able to go and pick up. It's okay. I'm not saying that it's not for adults. Obviously, I'm an adult. Adults can like things that kids enjoy, but it's not. You get what I'm saying. Anyways, let's move Stan and Forky. Let's fan these out. Which one do you think is going to be the best? And we'll go ahead and throw in the alternate book, even though it's from last week, because it didn't have a chance to shine. God, I feel like such a dork. I think it's going to be Usagi Yojimbo's number one, and I think, I hate to say it, I think X-Men's going to be the worst. I hope I'm wrong, Forky, but Forky knows trash, and what happened to my screen? Forky knows trash. So there you have it. That's my comic book pool this week. Hopefully you got something out of this video. Hopefully I filled some time of boredom in your life, whether it be at work, whether it's doing chores at home, whether it's on a long car drive, a particularly long bio break, if you get my meaning. Whatever the case, whenever you listen to these type of things, let me know in the comments. I'm kind of curious where you listen to my videos, what you're doing. I don't expect anyone just sitting there staring, watching this the whole time. I hope not, but I'm flattered that you listened this far. If you did make it this far in the video, say hi to Forky and Stan for me in the comments, and let them know you made it. And I really appreciate you, and I look forward to hearing about your love of comics. Remember, read good comics. I'll see you next time.